Hello. Dear students, this is a GATE training program sponsored by AUCT Prerana program. We have completed the discussion of data structure. One session of discussion has already over. We are continuing with the next set of instruction. So, in the previous session, we were discussed about mainly the programming aspects as well as arrays. How can you declare an array and what are the features of the array? And after that, we were discussing about a stack as a data structure, the different operations of stack and how can we use the stack in different applications. So while we have discussed about three different applications, one is for parenthesis checking in an expression. Second is the expression evaluation and infix to postfix conversion. So these are the three applications we have discussed regarding a stack. And in today's discussion, and we have discussed some questions related to that. In today's discussion, we will discuss about a few more infix to prefix algorithms, few more applications of stack, which will be doing few other things. We'll move into the content. So first we are discussing about how to convert an infix expression to prefix expression. So the algorithm will be discussing. Already we know that how can we convert an infix expression to postfix expression. We have discussed the algorithm in the last session clearly. And what will be the, how can we get a prefix expression from a postfix expression? We will get a prefix expression from a postfix expression by just reversing it. So what should be the procedure for converting an infix expression to a prefix expression? The procedure is so simple. Procedure is convert the infix expression to a postfix expression and reverse it. That will give you a the prefix algorithm. So we'll move into the algorithm part, and the algorithm will have three steps. Whatever I told that has written in this as a sentence. So step one is mentioned like reverse the given infix expression. Step two has mentioned like apply infix to postfix conversion algorithm. So infix to postfix conversion you should perform first. After that, it is asking you to reverse the result update. So these are the three steps you have to do. So reverse the given infix expression, apply the infix expression to postfix conversion, and reverse the result, whatever you got it. Okay, these are the three steps. We'll be moving into the example. So example number one, you can just try to solve it and tell me what should be the, this is an infix expression or prefix expression or postfix expression. What type of expression is this? So in today's session, we are discussing about what are the different last data structure section has already posted in the Google Classroom. Other than that, in today's discussion, we are discussing about the some other applications of stack. Data structure, two classes has already over Kavya. One is about array and stack, and the second one is about uh, today we will discuss about queue data structure. So, as a part of the discussion of a stack application, we are discussing about a few more algorithms. So, in the last class, we discussed about how can we convert infix expression to postfix expression. So, in today's session, we are discussing about how can we convert an infix expression to a prefix expression. So prefix expression, infix to postfix as a part of our curriculum itself we have discussed, and in the previous video you just refer, that will give you the idea about how can we convert an infix expression to a postfix expression. So prefix will be just a reverse of the postfix. So whenever you are getting an infix expression, first you should convert it into a postfix expression by the algorithm what we know, and then you reverse the expression what you are having in the postfix expression. So that is what is mentioning. So this is the example. So the example was given like a plus b star c. So what should be the prefix expression and what will be the postfix expression you should consider. So what is the first task? The first task is you should convert the given expression into infix to postfix. So how can you convert an expression to infix to postfix? So infix to postfix conversion will be like we have already discussed, like you are having a stack. So whenever you are having an operand, so operand will be coming into the output directly. So output will be A is the operand, so directly it will be coming into the output. Then plus symbol will be coming. So plus will be pushed into the stack, and then B will be coming. B means the operand. So operand will be coming directly into the output, and then star will be coming. Star will be we can push into the stack. But before pushing into the stack, you should cross check that whether the precedence of the current top is lower than the upcoming one. Then it will be pushing into the stack. We know that plus and minus is having less precedence, so like it is having precedence 1, and similarly star and division will be having the precedence 2, and exponential operator will be having the precedence 3. This was the standard precedence table. So based on that, we should check like from lower direction to upper direction, it should be in the increasing order. So currently the value on the top is plus, so it has the value 1, and star is coming, and star is the the currently coming operator, so you should push it into the stack. So because it has the precedence like 2, so this will be in the order. So you can continue like that. And finally C will be coming. C is the last operand. So operand can be added into the resultant screen. And after that plus and minus. So the expression get over here. So you can pop out the result whatever was there in the stack, and it will be added into the resultant one. So star will be added over here, and plus will be added into the resultant. So A, B, C star plus will be the answer of this. So that is for the postfix expression. So the operands are there. After that you are presenting the operator. But when you needs to have the operator first, when you needs to have the operator first, you need to have you should reverse it. So how can you reverse it? It will be like plus star and then CBA. So that will be the result of conversion of infix expression to the prefix expression. Similarly, we can do for the second example also. So here actually the brackets were also involved. So there will be an extra rule, like whenever you are seeing an opening bracket, you can insert it into the stack. Whenever you are seeing a closing bracket, you can pop out the content of operands which are present in the stack until you are seeing an opening bracket. So like that, you can just try for converting this infix expression to the postfix expression, and then you can reverse it. Okay. Similarly, here also the expression is having all combinations of operator. That is the difference between the first, second, and third expression. Here, most of the operands are involved over here, and even the case of bracket will be there. So, how you will be solving that? Already we have discussed about it in the previous session, and I think I have posted the video over there in the Google Classroom. So here what will be happening is first you are having an opening bracket. Then A plus B will be coming. So what will be the answer? So A will be directly to the output will be going. A will be directly going into the output. Then plus will be coming. Plus will be added into the stack. And then B will be coming. B will be coming directly into the output screen. And then the closing bracket will be coming. Whenever you find out a closing bracket, it will pop out the content of the stack and it will be added into the result and take out the opening bracket also. Now the stack became again empty. And again the negative symbol is coming. So the negative will be added over here or minus will be added over here. Then again the opening bracket, or whenever you find out an opening bracket is irrespective of the precedence. Otherwise, when before you are pushing the operand into the stack, you will be checking like whether the operand is having the higher precedence or not. So if you find out an opening bracket, there is no need for checking about the operator precedence. You can directly push it into the stack. And after that star will be coming. So you can push star over into the result. And again, sorry, before that you will be having C as the operand. So C will be coming into the result directly because it is an operand. Then star will be coming, star will be pushing into the stack. Then D will be coming, D will be directly coming into the output screen. D will be coming directly into the output screen. And then division operator is coming. So division operator is coming means where you have to insert. Before, if division operator is coming, we will find out that both of its precedents will be same. So in that case, what will happen is whichever is having the equal precedence that will be taken out and it will be added into the resultant. So star will be added over here and division operator will be added over here. So star will be taken out and a division will be added to here. Then the next operator is E. E will be added into the resultant value. And finally, a closing bracket will be coming. So the closing bracket comes means what will be happening is until you find out the opening bracket, you should pop out the content of the stack. So now you are having a closing division operator and an opening bracket. So both of them will be taken out and the operator, the division operator will be added into the taken out from the stack, and opening bracket will also be taken out from the stack. And now anyway expression got over, so that the negative will also be taken out. So this is the expression which is indicating the postfix expression. We should find out what is the prefix expression. So what will be the prefix expression? Just reverse of this will be giving you the prefix expression. Similarly, you can try for this also. Please try for this and tell me what will be the answer. Already the precedence I have mentioned over here. Already the precedence value I have mentioned over here. Okay, Kavya has messaged like ABC exponent plus D star EF exponent plus. We'll see whether it is correct or not. So first it will be the opening bracket. So opening bracket will be added over here. Then A will be coming. So A will be coming directly to the output. So A is added over here. Then the plus symbol will be coming. So plus symbol will be added into the stack. Then B will be coming. B will be directly to the output. Then you are having exponent symbol. So don't worry because exponent symbol is having always the higher precedence. So you can directly push into the stack. Then C will be coming. C will be coming into the output. And then the closing bracket will be there. So the closing bracket when you are seeing pop out all the content from the stack until you find out an opening bracket. So this exponent will be added over here and plus symbol will also be added over here. Okay. And closing bracket will be taken out. Again stack become empty. So this is the current stack content. So to that you are having a star operator is coming. So operator means directly you push into the stack. Operator I have pushed. Then D will be coming. D will be directly coming into the output screen because it is an operand. Then plus will be coming. Plus will be coming into the stack. But plus will be having what is the precedence? 1 is the precedence and star is having higher precedence. So that you should take out star first. So star has taken out first and what value you should insert? Plus you should insert over here. So star has taken out and plus was inserted. Then E will be coming. So E will be directly to the output and exponent symbol will be coming. So exponent symbol will be coming means you can push it into the stack because exponent is having a higher precedence. Then F will be the final value. F will be added and then you can pop out the value from the stack. So it will be exponent and plus. Is this the one? ABC exponent plus D star EF exponent plus. Okay, answer is correct, Avia. Next one is postfix to infix conversion. How can you convert a postfix expression is giving this and all was not there in our syllabus. So how can you convert a postfix expression to the infix conversion? So based on that, you can actually expect a question. But major thing you should know is how to convert an infix expression to a postfix expression. Most of the time, if you refer the question paper questions will be based on infix to postfix conversion. But sometimes even our theory class also we have solved like the questions will be like giving the infix and postfix expression and find out the prefix expression or prefix and postfix expression will be giving and find out the other expression. So that way the combination will be coming and it may also ask for 1 second. Okay, we have discussed about this is fine. Okay. Then after that we were started discussing about postfix to infix conversion. So what is the procedure for postfix to infix conversion? Step 1 is mentioning like create an MD stack and start scanning from the postfix expression from the left to right. So from left side to right side, we are having the postfix expression as the input. We need to get the infix expression from that. So the step 2 was mentioning like if the element is an operand, push it into the stack. If it is an operand, then you should push it into the stack. If the element is an operator, if it is an operator, pop twice and get operand 2 and operand 1 respectively. Calculate the string operand 1 operator operand 2. Encapsulate the string with parenthesis and push it back to the stack. This was the procedure it was mentioning. If the element is an operator, if it is normally operand, we need not worry anything. We can just push it into the stack. Other than that, if it is an operator, you need to do two things. You should pop twice the operands from the stack. So first one you are popping will be operand 2 and second one you are popping will be operand 1. Calculate the string. So the next resultant string will be operand 1, the operator, operand 2 and encapsulate that string with parenthesis. So it will be added like a parenthesis like this and then that will be pushing into the stack. When the expression is ended, the value in the stack is the final answer. So every step we are just doing this operation and pushing the resultant one into the stack and finally we'll be checking what will be there in the stack. That will be your infix expression. So this is the postfix expression you are having. Please note down ABC star plus will be the postfix expression you are having. You try to solve it based on the condition. Please note down into that ABC star plus. So that is the postfix expression you are having. So we are trying to apply the algorithm on this and find out what will be the answer. ABC star plus. Please note down and then you can do it by applying the algorithm. First, take a book and note down this. ABC star plus is the expression you are having. Apply the same algorithm what we are having. And tell me what should be the answer. A plus B plus C. A plus B star C, yes. But according to this algorithm, it was mentioned like encapsulate the string with a parenthesis. So, content wise, you will get a parenthesis also. So, the answer will be like, if I am applying the same algorithm, the answer will be like A, B, C, I should push into the stack. So, A, B, and C will be pushing, then star will be coming. So the last one, top one and the second last one will be taken. So top one will be operand 2 and the second last one will be operand 1. So it is B, B and operator will be, you should apply in the middle. So it will be like B star C and it is asking you to put a bracket between them and push it again into the stack. So these two components has gone. Instead of that, this value has inserted over here. Now again one more operand will be coming, that is plus. So plus is coming. So what will happen? When plus is coming, the top value, that is B star C is first one, that is operand 2 and A is the operand 1. So in between the operator you should apply. So it answer will be A plus B star C. Now we'll be trying to do the second example. AB plus CD star E division minus. So that is our next one. Try to solve it and tell me what will be the answer of that. So she got the answer like A plus B minus A plus B minus C into D division A. Answer is correct. Answer is correct. So I think you are clear with this. We'll move into the next one. Prefix to infix conversion. So prefix to next one part is how to convert a prefix expression if you are getting, how can you convert into the infix expression. So reverse the given prefix expression. So you will be getting postfix expression. Then you know that how to convert postfix expression to infix expression. That's what we have studied now. This is the example which was giving you the algorithm for converting a postfix expression to infix expression. In the same time, we have studied about how to convert an postfix expression, sorry, prefix expression to postfix expression. So that is just reversing it. And after that, you know how to convert the postfix expression to the infix format. So that process will be easy for you. So that is prefix to infix conversion. So that process will be like just converting your prefix expression to the postfix expression by just reversing it. And after that, how to convert the postfix expression to infix format we have studied. So based on that, you can convert it. So here I am winding up the stack discussion. Mainly we have discussed about what is stack, what are the different operations of stack, and then we were discussed about the different applications of stack. This is also the part of the application. The first example we have discussed about how to check whether the number of parentheses in an expression are same or not. So what is the way the questions will be coming? I have discussed some 10 questions in the last class. So there actually I was mentioning about they will ask what should be the content after when processor is processing the star operator in the expression, what should be the content of the stack at that point of time. So that means you should know the procedure of how can you convert the infix expression to the postfix expression. So that way, that type of questions you will get from this in the gate point of view. What should be the content of the stack when you are processing the star in the expression. So at that point, what should be the content of the stack? Like that. Now we'll be moving into the next data structure, queue. So we are already knowing that what is the queue and the normal sense what is meant by queue. So that same thing only in the queue data structure also will be doing. And like stack, we were having operations like push and pop. So here putting an data item into this queue is called as enqueue operation. And queue, we can take a data item from the queue, that is called dequeue operation. Enqueue and dequeue are the operations of putting an item into the queue and taking an item from the queue. And after that, we know that the queue is having a front end. From the front end, we are taking the item, and you are having a rear end. From the rear end, you are inserting the item. So the data will be taken always from the front end. So front will be the function which will be returning the value what was inserted first into the queue. So queue is the data structure. How it is differ from stack and array is the way of arrangement of element will be in the similar way like array. So one after the another in the continuous memory location the elements are arranged, and even similar type of data only even we are arranging in queue also. But extra difference is its operations. Operations will be in the form of FIFO. So that means first inserted value will be taken out first. So first in first out order the elements will be processed. And then isEmpty. isEmpty is a function which will be giving either true or false value based on whether the queue is having some value or not. Now we'll be coming into the enqueue operation. So what is there in the enqueue operation? Which will be adding an item in the rear part of the queue. I was mentioned like this is the rear part. You always think like it is a pipe like structure. So in that pipe like structure, you are always inserting the item from the rear end, and from the front you are taking the item. This diagram always you should be remember. When the questions related to queue you can answer. Next, if the queue is full, then the user want to insert an item into the queue, then it is called as queue overflow. Like how we were checking like whether it is overflowing or not in the stack, we were checking about the top variable. So similarly, when we will be telling about a queue is overflowing, when the queue is already occupied in all the locations with value, then we can tell like a queue is overflowing. Again, we want to push an item or adding an item into the or enqueuing an item into the queue. Next dequeue operation, I told the elements will be taken from where it will be taken from the front part of the queue. The elements will be taken. The item are dequeued in the same order in which they are enqueued. That is the feature of the queue. The in which order you have inserted the item into the queue, in that order itself it will be deleting the element from the queue. So it can even tell like a first inserted first out, or you can also tell like a last inserted last out. Both the way you can just tell that you should remember. First insert first out, all of you are familiar, but the last insert last out is also the same logic. Whichever was last inserted, that only will be coming out last. If the queue is empty, then the user tries to dequeue an element. That of course like queue overflow what we have mentioned. It's already the queue is full. We are trying to insert one more, but here the queue already it is empty. We are trying to take one more item from the queue. So that time we will be calling it as queue underflow. Then the queue operations. The queue is like a line of people waiting in a bank teller. So the queue is the having two variables front and rear. So front one, whoever was the one that will be taken out and it will be processing its request, and other elements are added from the rear end, and elements will be taken out from the queue through the front end. So whenever a new item is adding, always the elements will be added through the rear end. And whenever a new value is taken out, then whoever is in the front end will be taken. So next is NQ5, NQ3, DQ5. What value will be coming out? So such type of things actually we were doing before also. NQ5 means the queue is like this. So the element 5 will be inserted first, and then NQ3. So the element next element is 3 is inserted. Then DQ. So which element will be taken out? 5 will be taken out. This element will be taken out. And then you can tell like again NQ7 it is mentioning. So which value will be added? 7 over here it will be added. And then it was mentioning like dq, so which value should take account, whichever has inserted first should taken out, that means 3 will be taken out. And then friend, which will be the friend value in the current point, 7 will be the friend value because already 5 and 3 has taken out from the queue. Then dq, dq means again 7 was the last element we were having, so that was also taken out from the queue. And again, if you call one more time dq, that will be leads to underflow condition. Is empty, yes, this queue is not having any elements, so it will return true. So like that, few questions may also get like the operations will be specified, and based on that, it will ask what should be the content of the queue. So the queue example is continuing with a few more elements. I think you are clear with how queue is working. Now we'll be moving into the applications of queues. So what are the different applications of queue we'll be discussing. Used extensively in operating systems. And while studying operating system, the different scheduling algorithms and all, we have studied about FIFO ordering, FIFO scheduling, and even in round robin scheduling, we were discussed like even if it is in time based, whichever be the next operation or whichever be the next process will be operating, that will be in the first in first out manner. So different operating system scheduling algorithms we have discussed in our OS class, and a few other real life examples. So here also we will discuss about few scheduling algorithms part, and then there's some real life examples like waiting in a line, waiting in a tech support, waiting list, all those things will be coming into the other applications in computer science. We are having threads, job scheduling, and access to shared resources, Banger's algorithm and all we have, while deadlock and all while discussing in OS we have discussed about that. Then multi-programming, indirect applications like auxiliary data structure for algorithms, component of other data structure. So here what type of questions you, why I have mentioned all these things is the one of the application or one or two applications will be giving, and it will be asking you to find out what many options will be like, what data structure will be suitable for this application. So there you should mention like it will be used for queues. So first application what we are discussing is job scheduling. So initially your front and rear variable will be having the values -1, and then the first job has came, so the rear value became 0, and front anyway it will be starting from a -1 and it will get the value 0, and after that the second job has added, queue was empty in the beginning, then job 1 is added, so J1 has added over here, then job 2 is added, so J1 J2 has added, now job 3 has added, J1 J2 J3 has added, job 1 has finished its working, so job 1 J1 can be deleted from the queue. Next two jobs are J2 and J3, whichever is the first one has inserted, that one will be taken out. So initially we are having the assumption that from whichever be the element to process next, that will be mentioned. So you can see up to 2 rare value you have inserted. So what was happened is here the J1 will be taken out, and then the next immediate job will be J2 that was taken out, and then J3 the last final one. So the job 3 will be, job 2 is deleted and job 3 is the only one pending. So there that job will also be taken out. So that way the front and the rear variable will be varying. So that without this itself you can you know that how the front and the rear variable will be working. So whenever you are inserting an element, so you know that what will happen to the rear variable and what will happen to the front variable. So this was the queue, and you can take the value over here. Initially your front and the rear you will be keeping as -1. So in the beginning we are having the value like a front as well as rear is equal to -1. R is equal to -1. Then first element insertion is happening. Your front as well as rear will be moving into the index value 0. Then the next time the element is inserting, then front is not changing. While inserting operation, only rear will be changing. Rear will be increasing to rear plus 1. So rear will be, when an insert operation or NQ operation is happening, rear will be increasing to rear plus 1. So this is the basic diagram. If you know this diagram, then remaining all is clear for you. So front and rear is initially having the value -1. So when the first insert is happening, both will be pointing to 0. After that, whenever an insert operation, other than that, that is the only point your front will be varying. In the first insert only or first NQ operation only, the front will be varying to 0. Remaining all NQ operation, your rear will be changing to rear plus 1. Front has no impact on the insert operation or NQ operation. But in the similar way, when delete operation happens, it has no impact on the rear variable, it has only impact on the front variable. So what will happen when you delete an item? Front will be changing to front plus 1. So means the first element if you delete it, then you should process the next element. So front will be changing to front plus 1. So front will be changing to front plus 1. So that is about DQ operation, and insert operation or NQ operation will be changing only the rear value, and delete operation will be changing only the front value. Next, even round robin schedulers will also be using, I already mentioned that even if it is based on time slot, which will be the next job will be coming, that will be based on the first come first serve. CPU scheduler picks the process from the circular or ready queue. Set a timer to interrupt it after one time slice or quantum of time. If the process has a burst time less than one time slice or quantum, the process will leave the CPU after the completion. CPU will proceed to the next process in the ready queue or circular queue. So a given time slot, you know that round robin schedulers will be having a certain time limit for doing a job. For example, for milliseconds will be given for job 1. But maybe for job 1 may not finish in 4 millisecond. It needs maybe 10 millisecond. But after 4 millisecond, definitely that will go to the next process which requires the processor service. So that way the round job robin scheduling is working, but indirectly it needs a queue data structure, because who has came first, based on that only the processor has allocated. If the processor has been time longer than one time slice, then the timer will be stopped. It causes an interruption to the OS, and executed the processor is then placed at the tail of the circular or ready queue by applying the context switch. CPU scheduler then proceed by selecting the next process in the ready queue. Okay. The major content is like that. Whenever the processor is ready, which process came first, based on that the processor will be allocating. So for that you need to have a queue. It is called a ready queue. Or even for the implementation of priority queue also, you need a queue for keeping the data in the queue. We can implement a round robin scheduling using a queue by repeatedly performing the following steps. So which all are the steps? First is the first item will be dequeuing, and the shared service will be performing. And if it is not completed during that service period, if it is completed, then there is no point of keeping it again into the queue. Otherwise, that job will be again pushing into the queue. And then the next job will be taken, and this process will be continuing. So these are the first, it will be taken out the one. So it is called DQ. Then it is performing the work on the round robin fashion. Whatever was the time period has allotted for that, that much time it will be performing the work. And even if it doesn't complete the work completely, then that work will be again pushing into the queue. So this process will be continuing. If that work is getting over, then there is no point of pushing it into the stack, that you can leave. That's what the timer thing was mentioning over here. Here we assumed that the time limit has given for the each slot is 1 time unit. That's why it was mentioned like that. That's what I was mentioning, like the application for priority queue also we are using the same. So application of priority queue will also be using the same. The priority queue is the abstract data type which is like a regular queue on stack structure, but where the additional element has a priority associated with it. You know that what you meant by priority queue. In priority queue we will be keeping along with the data value what it has, along with that a priority number has also assigned. So the priority queue, the element with high priority will be always served first. So what you can do, if it is a queue data structure, you know that it will be having a specific way of taking the element. So whichever will be having the highest priority, that work should come first. Then only the priority queue will work. So this is the queue you are having. You can't insert the numbers or queue elements randomly. So what you can do is whichever the processor or process is having the highest priority, that should insert first into the queue so that you can use a priority. While the priority are often implemented with heaps, even one more option you are having, you know that max heap and min heap will be using for this. So priority queue you can even implement using heap data structure also, that will be constantly distinct for heap. A priority queue is an abstract concept like a list or a map, just as a list can be implemented with a linked list or array. Already we have discussed it while discussing about stack. I mentioned like stack and queue can be implemented using array as well as linked list. The idea behind the priority queue is simple. These queue insert in rear, remove from front, but the item ordered by a key. So the key will be the your position in the queue by changed by the arrival of the new item. So that means whenever one option I told, the elements in the priority queue should arranged based on the priority. But the next option is along with the you can mention whenever a new item is coming. So into the queue you can rearrange the position of the new job. So that was based on the position will be mentioned through the priority value. Next is scheduling queue. So mainly you should know that the processor is applying the scheduling algorithms are using queue data structure. So scheduling to a processor, different works will be assigning. So one is like printing queues, transmitting queues. Priority queue is no longer FIFO. So still we can remove the friend of the queue, but the insertion are governed by the priority. That was I was trying to tell. Even if it was mentioned like priority queue, yeah, according to the priority queue concept, we can insert only from one side. But here I mentioned like based on the priority value. Priority is just an integer number. So based on that value, actually the position will also be deciding. And in that particular location, for example, the job 1 is having the priority as 7 and a new job is coming and job 8 is having priority 3. Then a new job is coming with the priority 4, then it should be inserted between this. So that way, actually it is not considered as a FIFO ordering data structure. Implementation of queues, we have mentioned like arrays and linked list will be used for implementing queues. Arrays and linked list will be used for implementing queues. So the linear fashion as well as circular fashion, we can implement the arrays. Then implementation of queue using arrays. Use an array of size n in a regular fashion or in a circular fashion. Two different ways you can keep it. One is in the regular way you can keep the queue elements or in the circular way. Two variables keep track of the front and rear. So that was already mentioned. So you need to have two variables, front and rear, which will be keeping the, when can we tell like an array is empty? When can we tell like an array is empty? Array location R is kept empty. So what should be the condition for keeping the array is full, and what should be the condition for keeping an array is empty?
When the front and the rear is same.
When the front and the rear is the same, it means that the array is having only one element. Front and rear is having the sync. See, this is the front. So you think like front is at a value number 0 and rear is also having the value number 0. It means that both the elements or both front and rear is pointing to a single location, and that single location is having a value. So it means that it has only one single element. So
Yes,
front and
ma'am.
rear,
So,
so front and
front and
correct.
rear is equal to -1.
Yes, that's right. So front and rear is having value -1. It indicates that your Q is empty. Okay. So
Yes,
wrapped
ma'am.
around. So that is for the linear array, the linear structure of array. And even you are having circular array also. So what is the use of circular array is, so this is the queue you are having, and the elements I told, it will be inserting from one end and deleting from the other end. So first I have inserted one value like a 7, then one 8, then here I am having only one more location, then one 3. After that I deleted an element, that is in DQ operation I performed, those 7 has removed, and then 8 has removed, that is again next one more DQ operation performed, then one insert operation performed with the value, one more 7 I have inserted. Then in the normal linear structure, what is the problem? Even if these locations are vacant in the queue, we can't insert into that particular location, because the queue means we know that the insertion will be happening from the rear side. So that means even though the queue is not full, there are few vacant locations are available in the queue. So how can we insert a new element into the into this vacant location? So the design has changed like a circle, so that the design has changed like a circle, so that you can insert the elements. So that is the actually the reason for creating a circular queue. The queue can be implemented with an array, and it shows here. For example, the queue will be added over here. I was just tried to tell through the examples whatever I have showed. So this is the array implementation, and I was mentioning what is the use of this DQ operation. The circular queue. So the one more element has added, two has added. This was an, I will share the slides with you. And see, this is the final scenario I was mentioning. So the elements has added over here. Now, if you want to insert one more element, that is not possible. The queue is full. That was the scenario it was mentioning. But we know that these locations are already vacant. But in the according to the queue structure, you don't have a provision for inserting the element over here. So that's why we were coming into the head and tail should change. That was the logic behind that. So it was coming with a new advantage, new strategy, that is called the circular queue. So that was I was trying to tell. So the circular queue will be having the head and tail will be changing, so that you can insert even the new element into there. So what will be happening in the circular queue? When the tail ends fill up and the front part of the array has empty slot, then the new insert should go into the front end. So this was the logic of the circular queue. So what, in which scenario it will be making issue is, I have shown in the previous slide, like this end has rear end has already fixed, but front end is already having vacant location. So in that case, when you reach the front end or in the rear end has reached the end of the queue, and you can't insert the new elements even though the friend is empty. What is the thing you can do is, anyway you know that the elements will be inserting in the rear end. So you can reassign the rear end, you can reassign the rear end with value 0. So you can reassign the rear end with value 0. In which condition it is? If your rear, what should be the value in this scenario? What will be the value of the rear? Rear means initiate the which value you have inserted 5, then 5 was the value. That is the maximum size of the queue. It has reached over the maximum size of the queue. And what about the friend value? If friend is equal to 0, then what is the meaning? Friend is equal to 0, then what is the meaning? Friend
That
is
means
equal to
there are
0.
elements in the first
Ah,
few positions.
that means, see, the friend is equal to 0 and rear is equal to max minus 1 location. It means that the queue is completely filled. Then even if it is circular queue also, you can't do anything on that. But friend is pointing to here the friend, because what is the value will be deciding the friend variable is which value you are next deleting based on its index value. So if friend is pointing to 0, it means that there is a value present over here, and that is the value next I will be deleting from the queue. So in this scenario, what will be the value of the friend variable? Which value I will be taking out from the queue first? That is the value 2. What is its index? Its index is 3.
3.
So it means that this friend is having the value 3 at
3.
this point. The friend is having the value 3 at this point. So the condition for whether checking like whether the queue is full or not is the friend is having value 0 and the rear is having value max minus 1. And when we need a circular queue is when the rear is having max minus 1, rear is having the value max minus 1, and friend is not in 0 value. That means friend may be in 1, or friend may be in 2, or friend may be in 3. Wherever it is, in this scenario, friend is having the value 3. So it means that before that you were having 3 different vacant location. So what is the action you should perform then is you should reassign the rear with a 0. Rear with a 0, and again, so rear is in the rear position, actually we are inserting the element so that when a new element comes, the current rear value is 0, so there you can insert. As a normal NQ operations result, rear will be increasing to rear plus 1. So it will, after inserting the element over here, for example, I am inserting 7 over here. After inserting 7, rear will be moving into the next value, that is rear is equal to rear plus 1. So that process will be continuing. Again, now the rear will be pointing to the location 1, and it is trying to insert the element over here. And again, the next element will be coming. So, and it is trying to insert an element over here. So that way this
I
process
have
will
a
be.
doubt.
Hmm.
Like, if you have 261 in the third, fourth, fifth position, and then one more element comes in, like
Hmm.
something which has a higher priority, like 7. So, will it
It is not
complete?
like it is not. It is just telling about not about a priority queue. That topic was over. This is just about a queue. So what is the
Okay.
difference between a normal queue and a circular queue? Okay, you tell me the scenario. What you want? 7 is inserted. Again, one more element I should insert.
So, if you insert it, like it won't compare with the older elements, right?
What is the structure of queue? Queue will be in the form of FIFO ordering. So it means like first inserted value should be delete first. So which even if one more element I insert also, which value so 7, 8, 9 I have inserted into the queue. Which value I will be deleting from the queue? I will be deleting the value which I have inserted into the queue first. Which value I have
7 will
inserted
be
first?
deleted.
That will be 2. That will be first I have inserted 2, then I have inserted 6, then I have inserted 1, then 7, then 8, then 9. So whenever you want to delete an item, so that should be the value you have inserted into the queue first. You have inserted into the queue first is which value? 2 is the value
2.
you have inserted. So that value only you can able to take out. even though it is not like always you are taking from this side. You have to take the element which is pointed by the friend variable, which is the value which was pointed by the friend variable, that is
3.
pointing to 3, that is the value present in the third index is 2. So that value will be taken out. Then once the delete operation or dq operation has happened, friend will be equal to friend plus 1. That's what I was mentioned. So friend will be moving into this value has taken out, and friend will be moving to the next value, that is 4. 3 will be changing to 4. Then again if I want to delete an element, again the first inserted value out of the remaining elements, which is the first inserted value, I will be checking, and that value only I will be deleting. So which value I have inserted after that, that is 6 I have inserted, so I should delete 6 that was pointed by friend. So
Yes,
that
ma'am.
way actually,
Understood.
that is the logic of the circular queue. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
I think you are clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Even that you can even draw with the circles also, but logic is same. So it's not like a circular queue is like not always you should draw with the circles or not. It's like the logic will be what I have explained in the slide. Like whenever the rear is reaching the max minus 1, the rear will be reassigning to 0, and then the process will be continuing. I always feel that the circles will be little confusing, and this is the logical part of that, and if you clear with that, the other things will be also clear. And I felt always that a circle shaped thing will be little confusing. This was just an example, was showed in the circle shape. Why we need to go for array implementation of the queue? Array and linked list implementation is there for queue. It's easy to implement. It has limited capability of a fixed array, and a special behavior is needed when the array reaches the end of the array. Next is double-ended queue. So we discussed about a normal queue, circular queue, and a double-ended queue. What is double-ended queue? Double-ended queue differs from the normal queue data type, the first in first out, where the elements can only be added to one end and removed from the other end. That was the normal behavior of the queue. In double-ended queue, what is the thing is, for the elements can be added or removed from either of the head or of the tail, or you can tell that from the head end also and or the rear end also. You can even insert also, you can even delete also. So from the both the sides you can insert the elements, or from the both the sides you can even delete the elements. Okay. Now we'll be moving into a few questions. We'll check. Mhm. I will share this document with you in the Google Classroom. I think you people are already joined the Google Classroom. All the classes as well as materials I am posting over there. Even if you are not attending also, please refer the materials
Yes,
before
ma'am.
your test.
Yes, ma'am.
So the problem number one is like, consider the following new order strategy of traversing a binary tree. So it is, even though it was looking like a question from the graph, the question is related to infix to postfix conversion. So this is what the thing it was mentioned. You just read the question and try to answer to that. only one thing you should know. What is it is? It is mentioned like this is the reverse Polish expression. So what is this reverse Polish expression? You should know. And what is this also you should know. First root, then the left subtree, then the right subtree, then the left subtree. Actually, reverse Polish notation is the postfix expression. So it is in the reverse way. So here we were reverse Polish notation means what we will be doing. First we will be looking into the left subtree, then right subtree, then root. So but we are getting the reverse Polish expression of this. Reverse Polish expression is the postfix one. So postfix expression has given and it is asking you to find out what is the visit the root. Root means the operator. So it is asking you to find out what is the prefix location. So this is the postfix question is very simple, but it was asking in a twisted way. And you should know like what is meant by reverse Polish expression. So what is reverse
We
Polish
don't need to
expression? That is
draw
the
a tree here, right, ma'am?
what?
We don't need to draw a tree, right?
What? It's not required. Only the options are given. You should find out which one will be the answer. So it is like the expression has given, and it was also mentioned like it is a reverse Polish expression. So what is this reverse Polish expression? Is the postfix expression that is just opposite of this arrangement. Like left subtree will be checking first, then the right subtree will be checking, then the root will be checking. Root will be always the operator. So if A plus B is the tree if you are drawing, then A will be the left subtree, plus will be the simple example you remember. Plus will be the root and B will be the right subtree. So in reverse Polish expression, what you are representing is the postfix expression. That means A, B plus will be the answer. So it is asking you change it into prefix expression. So here the root was coming first. So this is a new order it was mentioned. That means operator should come first, then the right subtree, the left subtree. So what should be the answer is just opposite to this. Because this is the postfix expression, it is asking you to convert the postfix expression to the prefix expression. So
So we
what should be the
need to
answer?
reverse it.
Ah. So what should be the answer is, answer will be B. Minus plus 1 star 7 6. So actually the question was so simple, but looking like it is something related to graph and it's pre-order, post-order traversing, but it is not like that. It is just giving you the post-order, it is just giving you the postfix expression and it is asking you to convert that into the prefix format. Okay. So
Okay,
that
ma'am.
was one question.
Ma'am, in the B1, the
Uh,
option B, the order in which the elements are popped out is different, and in option C it's 4 3, and in option B it's 3 4 at the end. So will it matter?
which will be the answer is minus plus 1. So which is that minus plus 1 star
7
7 6
6.
7 6. So option will be C.
Okay, ma'am.
Answer will
Like
be C. So
in
whatever
the B
is getting
option,
over
it's
here,
6 7, ma'am.
V option the values are changed. So that should not be the answer. Hmm? C will be the answer.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So now we'll be coming into the second question. So this was actually based on last class. So the result of evaluating a postfix expression 10 5 plus 66 division star 8 minus, what should be the answer? So what will be, whenever you are finding out an operand, you should push into the stack. And whenever you find out an operator, you pop the last two elements from the stack and find out the operation result. And again, the result you should push into the stack. That was the problem was mentioning. So it was like 10 plus 5, 15. So that is the first thing you will be pushing in. First 10 will be pushing, then 5 will be pushing, then plus is coming means both the values 10 and 5 will be pop out from the stack and it will be doing the operation plus.
So
And then
15.
so total 15 will be, so 15 will be coming into stack, then 16 will be coming into stack. will be coming, 6 will be coming, division will be coming. So it means 60 by 6 you will be pop out and the result will be 10 and 10 will be pushing into the stack. Again star will be coming, so it means 15 and 10 were there in the result. So both will be multiplied, so you will be getting 150. Then 8 will be coming, 8 will be coming and pushing into the stack and minus will be added. So 150 minus 8, so answer will be 142. That was a direct question. If you know the algorithm, directly you can solve. This all are previous GATE question papers questions. Next one. The following postfix expression with a single digit operand is evaluated using a stack. So one expression has given. Note that the exponentiation operator and the top two operands of the stack after the first star is evaluated. So that was I was mentioned before. It was just asking you, you just convert this expression into following postfix expression is evaluated. So postfix evaluation operation you should perform. That was the question. You read the question many times. Before you are answering, you read the question many times. 4 or 5 times. You will have enough time for solving it. In GATE exam, it will be 3 hours. You will be having only 65 questions. You will have enough time for solving the questions. Only thing you should understand what the question is asking. So you read it. It was mentioning like you should do this operation. What is the operation? Postfix expression will be converter or evaluating. Postfix evaluation algorithm. Then you should know. Then it is telling like, okay, this is all are related to this is the exponential operator. Then it was mentioning the top two elements of the stack when you find out a star is evaluated. The first star, you see this expression, you will be having two different star operator here. But it is asking you find out when the first star has started evaluating, what was the top two elements of the stack? That was the question. What was the top two elements of the stack? So you should try to solve it. Already I have shown one example over how can we evaluate a postfix expression to the evaluate type of postfix expression. The same strategy you should follow and find out what are the two top elements when you find out the star. Algorithm also I have added as a solution, so you can check what will be the value. Actually, 3 subjects, I will again tell 3 subjects is mandatorily you should study. One is data structure, DA, and your first year C programming. So if you study these 3 subjects, some 35% of the questions you will get. This time even the syllabus of GATE has also reduced too much. Most of the other subjects, theory related subjects, they have removed from the syllabus. So it will be easy for you people to score good marks by studying only 1 or 2 subjects. So okay, this is the question I have. I am not giving a separate training for this C programming thing because already you are studied that, and even your data structure lab, even DA lab also I think we have done in C programming.
Yes, ma'am.
So there won't be much training is required for that. And this is a question related to that. See, hash include stdio.h and a character array has given, and a character pointer has also given. And it is just mentioning like S1 is the character array name, S1 plus 2. So what will be the value of P? And it is added with 0 and it is trying to print what is S1. Options also I will show. Options are 1034, 1204, 1120, 400, 12. So these are the values and what should be the answer. Just try to find out what is the answer. Just make an attempt and then we'll see what will be the answer. Just guess it.
I think it's 1204, ma'am.
Oh, correct. How come? Can you
Uh,
explain?
First, the value, the address of the array is 1234, and then there's a pointer, and you're
Hmm.
assigning the value 1238 to it,
Hmm.
and then you're you're printing that. So 1204 is printed.
It is like, see, 1, 2, 3, see, 3, 4 is the answer. Then it is just mentioning like this is a pointer s plus 2, s1 plus 2. S1 is pointing to, S1 will be, if any array you are having, usually array will be pointing to where? Array will be pointing to the starting address. So for example, if it is in the zeroth index, it will be S1 will be pointing to this S1's zeroth index. So S1 plus 2 is mentioning like zeroth index, first index and second index. So second index means the value present is 3. So actually this T is pointing to the index of the 3. That is means wherever the 3 is stored, it is pointing to that particular memory location. Then we have written star p is equal to 0. Star p is equal to 0. It means that the content of that p is where you have stored this 3 value. In that location is assigned with a value character 0. So means 12, this is actually kept as a string. So it's a character array. So 1, 2, instead of 3, you are trying to write 0 over here. So that, so instead of 3, you kept value 0. So that's why the result when you are printing S1, the result will be 1204. Clear?
Okay.
Okay, next question is, next question is also based on that logic only. Static int A, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Static int star p, A plus 3, A plus 4, A plus 1, A plus 2. And int star ptr is equal to p, ptr plus plus, print percentage p ptr minus p star ptr. Explanation has also added, so maybe this document will be useful for you. Well prepared. So A will be pointing to the starting address of this, that means 10. Then A plus 3, that means the third element of this, that means 30. Then the next one is A plus 4, that means the element fourth element 40. Then this is A plus 1, that means 20. And
20,
next is A plus
30.
2. A plus 2 is 30. So this is again one more array they have created, but the values of A has rearranged and saved. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So that
So
was
they won't
pointed
be in
to.
any particular order, the addresses.
This is not addresses we are storing. A is pointing to zeroth address, but the value will be storing over here. So means A, the first element of star of P also 10. Second element will be A plus 3, that means 30. Third element will be 40. And fourth element will be 20. And fifth element will be A plus 2, that is 0, 1, 2, 30. Okay. So like that we have arranged the elements. So A is 10, and A plus 3 is 40, A plus 4 is 50, A plus 1 is 20, A plus 2 is 30. So like that again we created one more array, and we will be telling that address is again stored in one more pointer. So again star star pointer is mentioning like this is again a pointer array. In that pointer
Pointer
array
or pointer
result
the
is
pointing.
pointer will be again stored into one more pointer variable. And after that we are telling like a ptr plus plus, that pointer is trying to increase. And then we will be checking like a ptr minus, currently what should be the ptr value. From that the p value, star star ptr is already assigned with p. After that one increment has happened. So ptr minus p, what should be the value? And then star star ptr also trying to display. So that are the two values. What will be the value of star star ptr and what is the value of ptr minus p, we have to calculate. So such type of questions actually you can solve using an example like this. You can just draw a diagram, and then you can try to solve. You see this. This is the initial array you are having. The base address was 1000 onwards. We are having the elements like 10, 20, 30, 40. That was the initial array you are having with P. Then we are the array name is A. Then we are reassigning that with P, like the addresses of 2000 will be keeping over the 1000. So its value over 1000 will be getting over star P will be giving what will be the content of this. So that will be again pointing to 10. So similarly, the next address will be 1020. Here we are having the assumption that each integer will be taking 4 bytes of memory. So 1000, 1004 and 1008, 1012 like that. So those values have stored over here. After that we are telling like the double pointer to this location. That means this its starting address, that is 2000. The P starting address is 2000. That will be stored into 3000. Question is asking like, so now we'll be coming into this. What will be ptr plus plus will make into point to the next element of array P. Its value will be changed to 2004. So ptr plus plus is what will be happening. ptr was pointing to P, that we have seen like 2000. ptr plus plus will be, it will be moving into the next value. What is the next value? 2004 will be the next value. But we know that 2004 has pointed to which value? 1012. 1012. So 1012 is having which value in the initial array? That is 40. So 1012 is having the initial value was 40. So ptr is having the value 40. And what is ptr minus p? ptr minus p is, you see this statement. ptr is pointing to the second element and p is pointing to the first element. So that how many bytes of, so ptr minus p will be equal to 1, excluding the element to which the ptr is pointing. So means ptr will be pointing to the first element and ptr ptr will be pointing to the first element. ptr plus 1 will be moving into the next element. That's why we were mentioned like 2004. So in between, how much difference will be there? That is for one location difference. In pointer arithmetic, the point one from one pointer we are reducing another pointer. So how many location or how many values will be differ? That's what we are checking in the pointer arithmetic. You can see that rule also. One of the rule of pointer arithmetic is that when you subtract two pointers, as long as they point into the same array, the result is the number of elements separating them. How many elements will be there in between? That's what the pointer arithmetic was telling the difference. So you know that ptr as well as p both are pointers. So ptr minus p will be telling like how many will be the difference. So if you are looking into the question, you can see that PTR will be pointing to P. After that, we are just doing PTR plus plus. That means only once we have increased this size. So the difference will be 1, and we know that what is star PTR is star PTR is 40. So 1 and 40 will be together printing without any space. That's why the result came like a 140. It is not like we are multiplying 100 with 40 or something. It was just printing 1 as the result of PTR minus P and 40 as the result of star PTR. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh, Then again, this question and all for your reference, I am just keeping. Even recursion is one important topic you can study. Based on that, usually the problems will be coming. Like problems means one code will be giving, and based on that, it will ask you to find out what will be the answer. One example we'll just do. A simple example we'll do. A few site links I have already posted in the Google Classroom. That will help you to study the materials, even topic wise also, even they have discussed, you can even refer for that. This question, please look. Consider the following recursive C function, void get int n. If n less than 1, return. Otherwise again get n minus 1, get n minus 3, and print a percentage dn. So if get6 function is being called in main, then how many times the get function will be invoked before returning to the main? So that was the question. So you should find out how many times the get function will be calling if the input is given as get6. Whether it is 15 times, whether it is 12 times, 20 times, options are 15, 25, 35, 45. So how many times get function will be? You know that if n is less than 1, and this process will be continuing. And what will be the value will be printing, then the value will be printing, that is fine, but question is what is the value of n? It was not like that. The question is how many times this get function will be executing when you give an input like get of 6. That's the question. So first what you should do is, if such type of questions comes, what you should do is, you first check get of 1, what will be the result, get of 2, what will be the result, get of 3, like that, get of 6, manually you should calculate. And you should find out how many times the call has happened. Just,
So
just
get of
try.
5 will go, then get of 3 will go. Again, it comes back and does it? No.
How many times, just to try, or
Ma'am,
you
this,
just for easy way,
we're not decrementing or incrementing, right? So twice only, right?
twice.
We're not decrementing the value of n, right?
Even if it is not decrementing, if n less than 1, it is returning. Otherwise, again, get n minus 1 and get n minus 3 is calling. That get
Okay.
n minus 1 should again coming back to this function only. For
Okay,
example,
ma'am.
get of 6, you are given get of 6. So in the first iteration itself, get of 5 and get of 4 will come. But get of 5 result also we don't know. Then get of 5 will be coming like a get of 4 and get of 3. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So that
Get
many
of
number of times the call will be happening. That is how many, whether it is 15 times only, 25, 35, 45.
1 minute, ma'am.
Mm.
11 times, ma'am.
Not 11.
The 11 times get function is being called.
11 is not there in the answer. 50, 25, 35, and 45.
I don't know, ma'am. Like I tried like for 5, like for 6 we get 5 and 3, and then again it gets reduced by 1, so 5 will call 4 and 2, and then again it calls like 3 and 1. Ma'am, do we count even -1, like until it's -1?
Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, it was mute. I was trying to tell. Okay, get 0 and get -2 are the two calls. So get 1 means how many times the get function will be calling? 1, 2, 3. 3 times it has called. Then get 2 means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 times it has called. Then get 3 means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 times it has called. Get 1 already we calculated like 3 times it has called. So 7 plus 3, 10 times it has called for getting get 4. Okay? Got
Ma'am, I
it?
didn't understand.
Okay. See, get 6 means what is the function was mentioning is, if you call get 6, first it will be calling get 6 minus 1, that is 5, and get 6 minus 3, that is get
3.
3. So that way it is further proceeding. How many times it will be going? You see, get 6 we called, get 5 and get 3 came. And then get 5 also we don't know the final answer how much. So what we'll be doing is get 4 and get 2 will be getting. Got it? And then
Yes.
get 4 will be again dividing like get 3 and get 1. And again get 3 you don't know correct answer directly. So it will be going to get 2 and get 0. And get 2 also direct answer you don't know. Only direct answer what you know in according to the code what is the base condition is if n is equal to what means the input coming into the get function should be a negative number or 0. In that case your code will be stopping over there. Otherwise this code will be started executing.
Ma'am,
Got
it
it?
should be 0, right? because it's
Where?
greater than, I mean, lesser than 1. N should be lesser than
It
1.
should be either lesser than 1 means either 0 or a negative number is also possible. Not mandatory that it should be always 0.
Okay,
Got
ma'am.
it? Condition is only that n should be lesser than 1. That may be either 0 or negative number, whatever. If it is 5, then condition is not satisfied. Otherwise, always the value will be lesser than 1. So you can come into these many. This is called the recursion tree that we have studied. This is the recursion tree. Then we will be checking like how many times the get function has occurred. So for getting get one, we are just leaving about. I am just leaving about the top part because that was the final answer. So for getting get 6, first I should solve what should be the value of get 1. For that, how many times I called, I should find out the get function. This is the first time I have called. Then the second time I have called get function. And this is the third time I have called. So that I can tell like for getting get 1 itself, I need to have 3 calls. Are you getting it?
Yes, ma'am.
Similarly, I am telling if I have get 2, then means only this much part will be included. So for getting get 2, how many calls is required? 1, 2, 3. 3 calls. Because of 3 calls, I will get what is the get 1 value. And again, this one is the fourth one. One more call I should do. And this is the final one. So 5 times I should call for getting get 2. If I want to get know the value of get 3, how many times I should call? If I want to find out
Mm.
get 3, I need to know what is the value of get 2, what is the value of get 0. What is the value of get 2? I will be getting by calling 5 times. And what is the value of get 0? That directly I will get. So 5, because that is the condition we are having. It should be lesser than 1. Correct? N should be
Yes,
lesser
ma'am.
than 1 means direct answer. So only one call is enough. No repetitive calls will happen. So get 2 will be giving 5 calls and get 0 will be giving 1 call. So
One
5 plus
call.
1, 6 call, and then get 3 will be the final
One.
call. So 5 plus 1, 6 plus 1, 7 calls is required for getting the value of get 3. Got it?
Yes, ma'am. I didn't know that you had to add it.
We have to add. Because even see here we are having get 1. We can't tell like get 1 is just a single call. For getting the value of get 1, you should add these all calls. How many calls is required for get 1? That we already calculated like 3 calls. So that was written over here. Got
Yes, ma'am.
it?
Yes, ma'am.
So similarly, you should add up and you will be getting the answer like 25. 25 calls are added. In the next class, maybe we can discuss about the questions from the queue. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
These are the questions which is related to queues. So we'll discuss in the next class. And
Yes,
anyway,
ma'am.
this document I will post in the Google Classroom along with this video recording. So maybe it will be helpful.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you,
Write down
ma'am.
your USN in the chat box and you send it. Thank you. Thank you for joining.
USN and what, ma'am?
USN is enough. Just
Okay,
USN
ma'am.
is enough.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Bye. Take care.
Ma'am, ma'am, I posted it.
Hello? I think the question you can moving into the next question. I think it is visible. You can have this. And before that itself, the first line is mentioning we know that Q can be implemented in two different ways, either through array or through linked list. So here the implementation is using linked list. That much you understood. Then let n denote the number of nodes in the queue, and n number of nodes are present in the list it was mentioned. Let nq be implemented by inserting a new node at the head, and dq be implemented by deleting a node from the tail. So that is the thing it was mentioning. Two operations are also performing like as we have discussed, like NQ and DQ operation, and it was tried to implement using singly linked list. So what will be the following time complexity of the most efficient time implementation of NQ and DQ? That's also okay. So what will be the time complexity of inserting an element into the single linked list, and what should be the complexity for deleting an element from the single linked list? So that was the question. So we'll try to solve this. So it is actually, even if it is asking about NQ and a DQ operation, what should be the time complexity of inserting a new node into the linked list and deleting a new node from the linked list? That is the question. That is the question. So it was mentioning like NQ operation is performing and DQ will be doing. So for insertion will be from the head side. So from the head side, if you want to insert a new node, how much extra time you need required? That is irrespective of the number of elements in the queue, you need to have a constant time for inserting the element into the linked list. And what about the element if I want to delete? The element will be from the other side according to the queue concept. So it will be from the other side. And so I should find out which should be the last element. How can I find out which is the last element in the case of a linked list? We know that every node will be having two parts. One will be the data part, another one will be the pointer part. So the pointer part will be pointing to the next data item present in the list. How can we find out that has reached the last node or last element? So the answer is like you can start from the first node and you should traverse to the next node, and till the next pointer of the node is having a null value, up to that you have to continue. How you will be get to know that is the null pointer value, and that will be the last node. So there, the DQ operation, we want to delete that thing, but deletion will be taking constant time only. But you have to find out who will be the last node. That will be taken. That in that case, how many number of comparisons are required? That's what we will be checking. That is the basic operation. So the how many number of comparisons we should traverse the entire list to reach the last element. We don't have any way for random access in the case of linked list. So it will be depending on the number of nodes present inside the list. So what should be the complexity in the case of linked list? That will be order of n. N number of elements will be present, so its order will be order of n. Okay. We'll be moving into the next question. So it was just mentioning like for NQ operation perform a constant amount of time. So it is order of 1. And then is for DQ operation, since we cannot access its previous node in a single linked list, we need to traverse the entire list to get the last node. So that process will be continued. So it will here the parameters will be based on the number of nodes present in the list. So it is like order of it. We'll be moving into the next question. Question number 13. It is about a circular queue. I have just mentioned about what you mean by circular queue. A circular queue has just read the question and I will just show you the options like option number 1 is like next point. Just read it. Option only one correct, only two correct, only one, both one and or neither one and one nor one, neither two nor one. So 1 and 2 are this statement, and based on this, please read it. And which all are the following statements are correct with respect to the circular queue is the question. Just read the questions first. Okay, what should be the answer? A circular queue has been implemented using a simply linked list. So it was circular queue using a simply linked list. It was trying to implement, and where each node consisting of a value and a single pointer which will be pointing to the next node. We maintain exactly two external pointers for front and the rear pointing to the front node and the rear node of the queue. Which of the following statements are correct in such a circular queue? So we were trying to implement a circular queue using singly linked list. And it regarding that, as usual, we will be having a front and a rear variable for insertion as well as deletion. And it is asking that out of these two statement, which one all should be correct for doing the operation pointer of the front node. One is a connection from the front node to the rear node. Second point is telling like a connection from the rear node to the front node. Whether both should be correct or only one should be correct, or which one should be correct, or both will be wrong. That's the question. So that the operation can perform in order of. Order of one means you need to have a constant time should take. The order of one means you need to have a constant time for doing it. So, what is the problem? We'll see. Since circular queue deletes the item using front pointer and insert an item using rear pointer. If we want to insert an element into the circular queue, then we have to increment the rear pointer to the next node, then insert the element. Then we can insert the element. Then after update the next pointer of the rear node to the front node. After that, we can update the next pointer of the rear node, that means the node we have added, to the front node. That will be acted as into the node is to be uh, updated to front node. So that method will be taking order of one time for insertion as well as deletion. So option B is the correct one. So what is in the option B is telling only 2 is required. So what is only 2? That is the next pointer of rear node should point to the front node. Okay. Again, next question is also related to that. A queue is implemented using an NQ and DQ operations performed correctly. Which of the following statements are correct? Both operations can be performed in order of one time, and at most one operation can be performed in order of one time, but worst case time for the other operation will be sigma of n, omega of n, and worst case time complexity for both the operation will be omega of n, or worst case complexity of both the operation will be omega of log n. So what should be the answer? Now we know that both operations will be taking order of. So option number A will be the correct answer. So a few more questions are there. Okay, I will share this document with you. I think you can refer this. Actually, this program number 17 is a direct question for just checking about the queue is full or queue is empty, what should be the condition. So that type of direct questions also you will get. This is a reference link. The link actually will be useful for you while studying topic wise. It was mentioned. I will share the document in our Google Classroom. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you for attending the classes. Okay, fine. I think I think already time up. Otherwise, we can even discuss, or in the next class also we can try to discuss the remaining part. No